Well, again, everyone, so much for joining us. Looks like some of the errors that we had this morning have seemed to resolve themselves. So thank you for sticking with us and coming back. Um, my name is Holly Mays. I work for the Department of Associated Students, the Assistant Director of Governmental Affairs. And I am just going to be introducing our next topic, which is an introduction to Units A, Units B, and Unit C. If you recall, or maybe you weren't a part of Maricella's presentation earlier, she outlined essentially that our staff is divided into 3 different units. And so we're going to start with our Unit A, which is on student leadership and development. And then our other facilitators are going to introduce their units and some other helpful information and topics so that you can learn about our staff, the programs and services that are offered with each unit. And so you can put a name to the face. So to start off our Unit A, I'm going to introduce Ruth and ask you to go ahead and start us off.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ruth Garcia Guevara, she, her, hers. So welcome to this part of your leadership summit. So I'll briefly talk about Unit A, or the leadership portion of associated students. So we have, it's broken down into 2 areas, the government affairs, which is what Holly oversees, or the majority of it, which includes working with the senators, executives in that area, as well as some other BCUs, like the bottom line and others. I oversee, I'm the Assistant Director for Community Affairs, Civic Engagement and Advocacy. So I mainly work with the community affairs aspects of associated students. And that for us means working with the environment, working in IV, working with volunteerism, working in philanthropy, doing community outreach, which includes having work study jobs with America Reads, America Counts. And we also do events like Earth Day and IV, as well as Pardal Carnival. So I'm just going to briefly kind of go through them very generally. And then if you have any questions, you can let me know. And then also let you know who the advisor is for some of these bigger areas. So I was going to start with the environmental piece. And pretty much what we do is we have several, the advisor for that area is Sarah Schischlag. And she oversees EAB, COSA Fund, bikes. And what they do is they provide information to students on local, national, and international environmental issues. So they meet weekly, especially for EAB, to discuss some of these topics. So how can students get involved? Like, how can you all lobby? How can we also change policies within the association? Like, how can we purchase things that are more sustainable? How, you know, and implement things. And we have that. So working with senators on making legislation to make those changes so that the entire association is more environmentally friendly, and they have all of those, and we really do try to advocate for all of this. But you know, EAB and those environmental groups really kind of are the leaders and kind of push us, you know, in that direction with your help, of course. So the other one I wanted to speak about is IV. So we definitely have a presence in Isla Vista. The Pardal Center is a building that we occupy. So it's I'm sure you've seen it, 2-story building. The top floor is for our legal resource center. So if you have any issues regarding, you know, rent or with a landlord, they are able to help you. We do have a lawyer on staff who is able to do that for us. On the first floor, we do a lot of, when we were open, we did a lot of, it's almost sort of like a community center / computer center. So folks can go in and use a computer, use a printer, use it as a meeting space. When we get back onto campus and we all start fall quarter, what we're going to do is we're gonna have a lot of these services. It's just gonna look a little bit different. So for example, the printing, you'll be able to send printing jobs, we'll be able to print them for you. You are able to utilize the space for up to 10 people. That number is so, we're still working on it, but we're thinking about 10 people or so to utilize that space for meetings. We also, we're doing that now. We also have things like face masks and thermometers for folks that we pass out to the community, to the local businesses. So they're super, super important for the association. The other piece that I wanted to touch on is our volunteerism. So we're huge on volunteerism. So our biggest group on campus, the Community Affairs Board, has been around for over 60 years now. So one of the oldest and largest groups on campus. And they do just that, they volunteer. So anything that you can think of, we probably do it or know someone who does it. So for example, we volunteer with animals. So if you're interested in volunteering with bunnies or dogs or cats, we'll be able to hook you up on how to do that. We do a prom for the retirement home that's in Isla Vista, which is pretty cool. So we have a DJ, a band, we have like corsages and boutonnieres that we do, and we just have a good time. So we're hoping to do that again as soon as it's safe to do that. We also have alternative breaks. So that's also a pretty popular program. So during winter break and spring break, we'll go for a week to volunteer in a different area. We've gone to all kinds of different places, gone to Ferguson, we've gone to Louisiana, we have gone to Oregon, we have gone to all over the place, and it's mostly around disaster relief. So we'll do a lot of that. And all of that is paid for by your student fee. So we didn't want that to be a factor for folks who were interested in doing that. So more information to come. We'll see if we'll be able to do it this year, but we'll do something. And then one of the other pieces that we do a lot of in this area is philanthropy. So a lot of your student fees goes to some of our philanthropies. So the Community Volunteer Foundation is one, Isla Vista Community Relations is another one, Coastal Fund is another one. CAB also has a fund, and all of these funds are either for student groups or for nonprofit organizations. So these are very, very important entities or philanthropies that we support, with you all support with student fees, and we're able to really make a difference. For example, we work with the Isla Vista Youth Projects, and we're able to pay for their student staff to work there so that they are able to function and be, something that the community is able to use. So that's major. And we've been doing a lot of work this summer on how to make that even a stronger program. So we're look out for a new common application. So anyone who's interested in looking for funds will be able to go on this application and then kind of decide, do I want to apply for Coastal Fund? Do I want to apply for IVCRC or whatever the case may be? And it'll kind of take you through the steps. So it just makes it easier for you all to follow and for us to follow on the back end as well. I did say that I was going to mention the staff members. So I mentioned Sarah. The other person is Rodney Gould, who's our IV community advisor. And we also have Alina Mojarro, who is our community education outreach coordinator, as well as taking the interim position of volunteer coordinator as well. So if you are at all interested, please email me and I can set you up, and I'll put my email on here just so that you all have it. And yes, and then just a little bit about myself. So I've been with the association for over 13 years now. So it's been a long time. So for the majority of that time, I was a volunteer coordinator, so mainly overseeing IVCRC and CAB and advising those groups. and also elections. So that is something that I still do now. So if you have any questions around elections, like how to get involved, how to change legislation, how does that, how can we make those changes? Let me know, and we can certainly talk about it and see what we can do. Do y'all have any questions?
Would you mind putting your contact in the chat?
Yes, it's
Please?
on there, but I'll put it on again.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if there's no other questions for Ruth, then I can go ahead and talk about the other half of that unit. So like Ruth mentioned, our unit A, or the unit on student leadership and development, is kind of divided into two parts. And so I oversee the governmental affairs half of that. So like I mentioned, that means I work with the Senate, the executive offices. I also work with the committee on committees. And then I supervise the two staff that are on our team. And the third position that has been vacant since I actually left it, the position of the legislative liaison. And the other two folks that are on that team are Leah Bartos, who's our journalism advisor, and Tim Grigsby, who is the campus support advisor. So Leah advises the bottom line. You may have attended some of her journalism workshops. She does those once or twice a year, a series of them. She also works with the book bank. She supervises the committee and then also supervises the staff and also advises the committee. And she also works with the bottom line, which formerly was supervised by her, but the bottom line is now a BCU. So she advises them and they facilitate research projects. If you were with us earlier, we walked through the website of the Living History Project. So that's a really good one to check out, or something to be involved in if you're interested in the history of the association. You can contribute to their site or their projects. And then Tim advises the Human Rights Board, or HRB, the Public and Mental Health Commission, the Transfer Student Alliance, and the Global Gaucho Commission. And so they work in those different areas, and so they can kind of help connect you. I want to talk a little bit about something that I get questions on a lot, which is on minute taking. So I'm going to share my screen here really quickly because I want to talk about this minute taker template because I get questions about this a lot. So one of the responsibilities of the legislative liaison is to conduct minute taking workshops. So you may, if you've been around for a couple of years, you may have attended or you may have seen some advertisements for some minute taker training. Our minute takers are awesome. And so they attend our Senate meetings or student staff, they attend F&B meetings. And then also you probably have a secretary or a person that is in your BCU that takes minutes for you that may be using a template that looks like this or similar to this. And so this is a very blank version of it. Lots of folks will add their group's logo. Of course, they'll change the title. And then as you go in, you fill in this other information. Your minute taker can record, when the meeting started, the roll call. The reason why all this is really important as a 501c3 is that we are documenting all of our business decisions and business actions. So as you know, we are student funded and we take the spending of student fees really seriously. And so we need to have records for that. And also we do an external audit once a year. So this is really helpful for all of those administrative functions, right? So when you are filling out a requisition for your group and they ask, what are the minutes for the meeting where you approve this, having minutes that very clearly articulate, the date, the time, the discussion that took place, all those things are really important for like I said, our administrative functions, and then when they're reviewed every year in the audit. So anyway, when you go through the rest of the template, you can see there can be excused absences, there can be proxies, a public forum, and your minute taker will go in as the meeting is going through, fill all this in. The advisor's report, executive officer's report, group project or member reports, the acceptance of the agenda, consent items. This is your minutes from last week. And then really what we're going to focus on for topics that you will enter, right? So if you're deciding to do an event, if you are spending money for, what is a proxy? So a proxy is someone that you send in your place, kind of like a substitute. So if like a senator or a member can't attend, the person that they send in their place to sit in and vote on their behalf is referred to as proxy. And because members are only the voting members are the ones that are listed in legal code, and every year all of the appointments that you all send to the IVP, those are voted on by Senate. So you've like already gone through the process of being selected by the committee, appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. So those are the members that are like legally, officially allowed to vote. And so for folks that want to be able to vote still on something that is important, or if you don't have quorum, like there's not enough members to call the vote, then having a proxy in your place can be really helpful, so they can cast a vote on your behalf. But the group, the committee will need to accept your proxy so that it's official. Another question is, are people required to have a proxy for all meetings that they will be absent in? They're not required to. Senators have the option of being absent for an entire quarter, or they can have a proxy for an entire quarter. Members can also, I suppose, have a proxy for an entire quarter, but it just depends on the individual. The other option is, if you don't have a proxy, you can either have an excused absence or an unexcused absence. Unexcused absences are less favorable. It's kind of like an attendance ding. And so if there are attendance requirements in your legal code, not everyone wants to have an unexcused absence. But most folks will do an excused absence because you can let your chair know, 24 hours in advance or 48 hours in advance, whatever the requirement is, and share the reason with them. Either say like it's a medical issue or a family issue or something like that. I don't have to go into detail, but yeah, that's kind of how you would get an excused absence. But it just depends on the person, what's being voted on, how many members, right? Like if you being absent is going to mean that they can't take a vote, you may want to send a proxy in, but there's no requirement that you have to have a proxy every time you're absent. It just is going to depend on the situation. Okay, so then the action items here, this is where the majority of the business is going to be conducted for groups. So old business is items that you've already introduced onto the agenda. So for senators, this would be bills that were introduced the week prior and you've tabled, and then you want to vote on this week. That will be an old business. If you're a group, right? So like I advise COC, and for almost an entire quarter, they work on planning AS assembly. So the topic of AS Assembly could be an old business. It could also be under discussion items if that's more applicable. But this is basically where you're going to put the topics of discussion. So new business is brand new to the agenda. You haven't talked about it before. Old business is something that's already been introduced. But these are typically places where you would take an action. So that's why it's under action items and not discussion items. So I would reserve those for items that you want to take a vote on. And then discussion items can be for topics where you're just talking about something or planning. In the example of assembly, if they're discussing back and forth which venue to use, you know, what if they want to do catering or food or anything like that, that could go under discussion topics. And then you have remarks, which are more informal. Generally, people just say something fun, or there's a topic prompt, you know, like what's your number one on Spotify this year or something. It just depends on the group, but it's designed to be more informal, or any last minute comments that you want to make, and then adjournment. So these sections here are the topics rather, right? Like roll call, public forum, all of that. These are written into legal code. So that's where that template came from. And this template was put together by some student staff a number of years ago, but these sections here came from the legal code. So that's why I like to share it. And then groups can customize it a little bit to their preference, but just wanted to highlight this template here. I'll put my contact email in the chat. You can reach out to me to get a copy of it if you don't already have one. And then I'll be doing some minute taker workshops later in the quarter for your minute takers to learn more about how to fill out these minutes. But just wanted to highlight this for some folks that are new to it, and to emphasize just how important it is to have accurate, thorough minutes for all the business that we do. And that's just one of the things that our unit can help with. Also about me also is I work as one of the advisors to the Senate and to the executive offices. So I could help connect you there. And I also do legal code advising. So if you were in our session earlier, we talked a lot about the legal code, but that is something that I can help connect you to your Senate liaison, can help advise you on how to write legislation. All of those things our unit can help you out with. Some of the other folks in our unit, Tim and Leah, like I mentioned, they can also help connect you to resources internally or also externally. Like I mentioned, Tim works with the Transfer Student Alliance, for example, and has connections with the Transfer Student Center. And so all of us can help connect you to other resources on campus. And a lot of us focus on advocacy and teaching and leadership development. So we love to check in and chat, and would love to meet you. And so are there any questions? I'll give a little bit of space for that. But if there are none, I'm going to hand it over to the director of our Unit B, Marilyn Dukes.
Hi, I'm Marilyn. I'm going to share my screen here so you can see us. Ready from start. Right. Okay. Can you see? Share? It says screen sharing failed, Holly.
Okay, I just changed it. It should go now.
It's failing. So let me try it again. See if I can accept.
I say it's a good thing we have our Unit C tech support in the room.
Share. Can you see it now?
Sure
Yeah.
can.
Yay. Okay. So my name is Marilyn Dukes. I'm the Director of Student Engagement, Businesses and Services. You may also hear it referred to as Unit B. There's our little B there. Student Engagement, Businesses and Services. The mission behind our unit is to serve students. We share a common thread of service and engagement in all of the areas in our unit. We each provide an experiential learning opportunity for students in each of the 3 units, areas of our unit. And it's not going to go. There we go. Our services and programs serve the general student body. We touch a very large number of students through our events, through ticketing, through radio broadcasts, the newspaper, The Bottom Line, the food bank, bike shop, and recycling. Our many contacts with the student body, we consider ourselves to be an outward facing part of Associated Students. During the course of students in university experience, most of them, almost all of them, will interact with our unit. So our staff leadership in our unit, in addition to myself, Jennifer Kaiser is the Assistant Director for Independent Media. Phil Pinedo is the Assistant Director for Businesses and Services, which is trying to rebrand themselves, which is rebranding themselves to AS Enterprises. And so you may hear them referred to as AS Enterprises. And there's a vacant position, which is the Assistant Director for Student Programs, Events and Services, which was my former position. The areas within our unit, KCSB and Independent Media, which includes The Bottom Line, AS Businesses and Services, which include the food bank, AS Recycling, AS Bike Shop, AS Cashier and Ticket Office, AS Publications, Department of Public Works, and Student Farm. In addition, under AS Businesses and Services, we have AS Facilities Management, so work orders, safety concerns, cleaning, repairs, and any facility-related issues, AS facility-related issues are handled within by our unit for everyone. And then programs and events, including AS Program Board and Ivy Arts, as well as overall program planning advising for the entire association. We have an additional 13 career staff positions that support our unit by supervising or advising students in various capacities or working with students to manage a business or service. So we're a large, career staff-wise, we are one of the larger units. I'm not sure why I'm not being able to move forward. I'm going to talk about events, programs, and services first, because that position is vacant and I'm currently also performing a lot of those responsibilities. So there's an assistant director for student programs, events, and services. That position advises program board and supervises them as student employees. The program board staff are student employees. It's different from many of the other appointed offices in AS. Program board's actually employed by the university. Position advises Judicial Council, and I'm currently the advisor for Judicial Council. It's the advisor for the Commission for Marginalized Genders, supervises the program advisor career staff position, and responsible for contracts and insurance issues and compliance for all of the program board events. Program board is a very large board for Associated Students. They have a budget of over $1 million, one of the largest budgets, perhaps the largest budget in AS. And so there are a lot of contracts and insurance issues that they deal with, and the assistant director is responsible for making sure they're in compliance. Program advisor Chris Ehrman, and that's his picture right there. He supervises the program board event staff and production assistants. So program board employs about 30 students to serve as event staff, which is kind of like ushering staff. They watch doors and work at our events, and production assistants, which help with sound and light at all of our events. Program board has a concert sound system, and so those production assistants learn to set up and run that sound system. And Chris supervises them in all of their duties. He assists in advising AS program board, particularly regarding technical issues and event safety. Program board puts on 4 pretty large events during the year, 2 in the event center, and of course extravaganza. And the technical sound and light and safety issues around those events in particular are very complex. And so he assists the board in all of those planning procedures. Chris also advises the ASIV Arts Board, and he serves as a secondary advisor to Career Commission, particularly with regards to their event programming. He works very closely with them on their events. In the programming area, resources, we offer event planning guidance through both program board students and career staff. So if you're planning an event, you can come to the program board students or to Chris or myself, and we can help you put together your event and help plan your event and troubleshoot it with you. So we have sound equipment. We have a public address loaner system for small events. So you just check it out with your access card, and it's just a small sound system that you can wheel out and set up yourself. And then we have, like I said, the concert sound system, which is much larger, and we do provide that and assist many AS groups in their events when they have larger events. We also have event safety staff, and they can help watch doors or usher for events, and many AS groups, as well as many student organizations, use the event safety staff at their events to help them with watch their doors, take tickets, do all kinds of things like that. And then stuff, we program board have stuff. A lot of stuff. We have pop-up tents, we have extension cords, we have hospitality equipment, megaphones. We have a lot of equipment that is available for checkout. So if you need something, come to program board because they may have it. And if they do, they can check it out for you to use. I wanted to talk a little bit more about these event safety and about the sound system, because those services are offered by program board. And if you are interested in them for an event, the process would be to first talk to Chris, and Chris would be able to let you know, give you a better idea of exactly what you're asking for, what you need for your event, and give you an idea of what the cost would be for that. And what you can do then is go to program board, to the deputy commissioner, and ask to be put on their agenda to request a sponsorship from program board. And you would come to a program board meeting and say, I would like to use the sound system on October 20th. And this is what Chris has said that we're going to need and what the cost would be of that. And program board will, if they vote to sponsor it, they will pay for it for you and send the staff out and cover all of those costs. It's a very common thing for program board to do. They sponsor 80 to 100 events a year where they pay for the sound system or pay for the event staff to go out to your events. So that's definitely a very valuable resource that's offered. And I don't know what's it's not going to. So tips from the programming area: start early in planning your events. The AS process is different than SEAL, which is Student Engagement and Leadership. It used to be the Office of Student Life. Our process is different. So if you were a part of a student club and you knew the process over at the Office of Student Life or SEAL to go through the 360 planning process, we have a different process. So, so you need to make sure that you're following our process and not that from SEAL. If you need a contract, start working with Ed or myself very early. You must be working with either Ed, myself, or Marcella to receive an AS contract. And I pretty much work with the performance contracts with performing artists, and the other contracts are all primarily Ed. I think he's probably going to talk about that. But you need to receive an AS contract. Students cannot contract on behalf of the University of California. Contracts need to be signed by the executive director. So Associated Students, as you've probably heard in your training, is a department on campus. If you were involved in a club, they are not part of the University of California. The clubs are unaffiliated with the university in that way, but AS is a department. So when you contract for a performing artist or for a vendor, you're contracting on behalf of the University of California, and that has to be done by a staff member. And in our case, it's the executive director who has that authority. If your artist requests changes to the contract, we have a contract template, or changes to the insurance requirements. It will take time, so be patient. Somebody's microphone's on. Don't expect that approvals will happen overnight, and know that there are some areas of the contract that we will not be able to amend. So we will work with you, we will work with the artist to try to meet the needs as best as possible, but there will be things that we will not be able to change. It's required by the University of California. Usually those disagreements are worked out. So like 99% of the time we can work it out. So don't be scared of it, but just know that it takes time to work through those things. Ask if you have questions. It's always, always, always preferred that you ask your question so that we don't spend extra time backtracking later. And we spend a lot of time in AS backtracking and trying to have the right forms filled out or collect the right forms. So really just, it's always better to ask if you're not sure so that we can make sure we're on the right, we're headed in the right direction. And then please make sure your paperwork is in place before your event. So minimally, you'll need a signed contract, not the offer form, which also usually asks for a signature. You will need a contract that you get from Ed, myself, or Marcella, a W-9, their insurance certificate, and any technical writer. And if changes were made to any of those in the contract with insurance, you'll need an approval that will be attached to that as well. I know that's, we're just hitting the high points on this. And if you really are doing an event, you would want to sit down with one of us to really talk through the entire process a little bit more. And programming area staff-wise, the programming staff can assist you in writing offers and planning events, recommending vendors, because there are vendors that we've used in the past that we can recommend to you, and locating resources both on campus and off campus. The programming staff can help you with budgets if you need assistance, or budgeting, and really make sure your budget is approved by the group you represent and that that approval is in the minutes. That's really important. We can answer questions or direct you to the appropriate individual to get those questions answered. And we ask you to please keep your advisors updated on your programs, because if we can't reach you, we will ask them. So sometimes we'll get conflicting information and we won't be able to reach you. It's something that needs to get done right away. So we will go to your advisor. So make sure your advisor is updated on what you're doing. And then I'm going to repeat again that the AS event planning process is different than that of CL, or which was formerly OSL. So make sure that you are checking in with what the AS event planning process is when you're doing your events. And then we're really happy you're back. We're happy that there'll be events again. And we hope you have a great year. And I'm going to, are there any questions? No, okay. I don't see any in the chat. So I'm going to go over to stop sharing and pass it off to Jen.
Thank you, Marilyn. That was great. And I love the background on your slides. They look gorgeous. I am going to share my slides real quick here. Sorry, while I do a quick switcheroo so that we're in present mode. Okay, very good. So Marilyn introduced me earlier. I'm Jennifer Kaiser, Assistant Director for Independent Media. We have 2 student media outlets within AS, that is KCSB FM radio, which includes a news department, and the Bottom Line newspaper. Together we are the student media of Associated Students. We happen to live in the building in Stork, the Stork building that's underneath Stork Tower, that's right next door to the Daily Nexus. The Daily Nexus is under Student Affairs, different department, but they are also independent media. So we're here in the Stork Communications building. That's where we are located. KCSB, particularly during this pandemic year, has been an essential service providing news and updates about COVID and the pandemic and Isla Vista. You may have seen some of our newsletters that have gone out to students, giving you all information about testing and the vaccine and where to find things and what's going on in Isla Vista. That's been something that we've been very proud of developing over time. And we were actually recognized for this last year by the Santa Barbara Independent. We got their best Santa Barbara radio station for 2020. That was in their readers poll. So we were very proud of that. We had a lot of people, just going back a sec, we had a lot of people contributing to the success of the station last year, alumni, Gaucho alumni, volunteers, and current students. We all learned how to do remote broadcasting. And now as we come back, we're retooling and readjusting to being back on site, but still taking some of the lessons that we learned from the pandemic with us and adding that to our curriculum. And we're very happy and proud about that. Had one final point there. We've done a little bit of international student recruitment as well, because when we were in remote mode, we were able to invite people who were studying abroad and coming from elsewhere to contribute content to the radio. It's kind of one of the if there is any kind of benefit to the pandemic, that was a silver lining, that we were able to be more global, expanding beyond our local broadcast area. All right, now I'm ready to go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we had our COVID newsletter. We do have a very developed news department. We typically every quarter enroll, we invite new reporters to participate with our news department. We have 2 news directors. And one of the projects they've been working on recently is a collaboration with the Nexus called Unmasking Isla Vista. You may have seen that out there. But our COVID newsletter, plus our public service announcements and our news briefs on air have gone out to help keep our community informed. So the priorities at KCSB, we are a broadcaster, so a media broadcaster. So as an essential service, we make sure that we're operational 24/7 with news, public affairs, cultural arts, and lots of music programming, original music programming. We are a student employer, so we have 18 student staff positions. And it is technical hands-on training for all of them. Basically, all of the positions at this radio station, from general manager, program director, traffic coordinator, to business coordinator, publicity, news director, music director, all of these positions are the positions you find at a working radio station. And we have them all here, 18 total positions, hourly employment for the 18. We're also community access media, which means that we receive volunteers into our training program, and we teach people who don't normally have access to media anyplace else. We bring them into our radio station. That's why we are both college and community radio. We always make a point of stating that, because we go beyond the student population. Students are priority. Students are also running the station, but we welcome community members, and community members are trained here as well. And here are some of our folks from this last year. I liked this collage, so that's why I thought I would break it out. So you see day manager. So a lot of our students learned how to manage content on a daily basis. When we were all completely digital, we had to learn how. And these are some of our folks who are actually here right now. And now starting to do the training to get people back in person. So as I mentioned, we're also community access. So every quarter, we lead an orientation at the beginning of the quarter. We invite students and community to come learn about broadcast media. And this is one of our posters from past years, and you'll be seeing some more announcements about KCSB's orientation. We'll be holding it on October the 4th this year. And next up, so just to give you an idea of the global, all community kind of aspect of KCSB, you're seeing here, this quarter's spotlight this was something that we produced. This is a photo of student staff, student programmers, community programmers, kind of like the whole bunch when we held our last general staff meeting. And we always try to recognize a programmer every quarter at our general staff meeting with programmers. And this year, or at this moment, at this particular one, it was everybody, because we were all dealing with the effects of the pandemic and having to produce remote content. And we were all really getting it done and stepping up. So everybody, but it's a sample of what our larger staff looks like, our programming staff. So who's that guy? Steve Aoki, what? So he did K-Juice. So before he became the major DJ phenom that he is today, he did K-Juice. And so that was something we always like to mention. So the roster of ex-compositions departments here at KCSB, we are 18 student staff, as I mentioned, and then we also have specialized departments within the radio station, among them news and public affairs, We have engineering, we have music, we have promotions, sports casting, a very special program dedicated to sports casting, and nonprofit media business. So we have our regular station, everybody has to contribute a piece to run a radio station. And so each of these departments have subcommittees and subcommittee meetings where they drill down and focus in on particular projects unique to their department and discipline. And that is it. That is an overview of KCSB and the work that we do. We train students. We're kind of like, I always describe us as kind of a trade tech. We're like the trade tech within the UCSB campus. When you come here and are in your position for a year, you are basically learning everything about non-commercial media, independent media, and the hands-on operational tools that you would need to develop your own podcast in the future, or work for a media company, or work for digital media. You're learning all those skills here. And for many people, when they move on from UCSB, they do end up taking jobs in various media fields as a result of their experience here. The career staff that support this operation, we're a team of 4. Assistant Director for Independent Media, I'm like the station advisor. Ted Coe is the student staff advisor, and his title is advisor. We have a chief engineer who makes sure that we maintain FCC compliance, that our transmitter site is maintained, that our studios are maintained. And we have a news director, a news and public affairs director, Lisa Osborne, who helps guide and train all of the incoming news directors and reporters. So that is our team and staff here. And I think that's it for me. I'm ready to pass it along. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thanks, Jen. I think we will pass it on to Phil then to talk about AS Enterprises.
Yes, hello, everyone. Let me share my screen here. No, present. Here we go. That's what I wanted to do. So, hello to all of you, and thank you, Marilyn and Jennifer, for all that great information. My name is Phil Pinedo, and I'm the Assistant Director for AS Enterprises. I know that we're coming up on the top of the hour pretty soon, so I'm just going to do a brief overview of AS Enterprises, and I'll try to do it as quickly as possible and still disseminate this information for y'all. So AS Enterprises is comprised of the AS Food Bank, the AS Cashiers and Ticket Office, AS Recycling, the AS Department of Public Works, the AS Bike Shop, and the AS Publications. And we are AS Enterprises. We are formally, as Marilyn had mentioned, AS Business Services. So let's see, I need to move this out of the way here so I can see my text. So AS Enterprises is a grouping of areas within AS that provide a wide range of services and opportunities to UCSB students and the campus at large. From these enterprises flow a range of services, including printing, bike repair, event ticket sales, recycling and composting, services and education, and a food pantry. And these services represent the heart of AS Enterprises. And let's see, I want to go to the next slide. So I wanted to start here with the AS Food Bank. So for some of you who may have not been to campus, I wanted to give you a general idea of where the AS Food Bank is located once you're here on campus. And the best way to kind of describe it is we're across from the subway. So the food bank is located across from the subway. Our coordinator for the food bank is currently Daniel Chavez. who has been working for the AS Food Bank for, I think, about 6 months. So the AS Food Bank is a campus service that provides fresh, free, and nutritious food, as well as toiletries to the Gaucho community. Led by a group of diverse students who tackle food insecurity on campus, the food bank continually raises awareness on issues surrounding food. One note here is that the services are available to individuals who make less than $14,484 a year. However, we're known not to turn people away who are in need. Additional programs at the food bank include the seed bank, which is basically a program that allows students to get a pot with some seeds and some dirt and go home and be their own farmer at home. So this is a great opportunity for students to kind of who want to like see if they have a green thumb or try to turn their brown thumb green, who knows. And as well, we also have a kosher halal program, which are just food packages that are specific to the dietary specifications of these two particular diets. In addition to that, the food bank offers meal tickets, and meal tickets are part of a program that we are in partnership with Swipe Out Hunger. And how that works is that we have excess meal tickets that people don't use from their meal plans, and they donate those. And then we get to distribute them based on the need and based on people who apply to receive the tickets. We also have virtual workshops, and some of those workshops might be like how to prepare food, or it might be partnership with our DPW, Department of Public Works, and their farm and how things work, more of an educational kind of view of that. So AS Food Bank, along with all the other enterprises, is focused on student jobs and leadership opportunities. So currently right now at the food bank, I think we have about 15 employees, and that encompasses individuals who just are starting out and who are in leadership roles. You can become a coordinator or a student lead. So there are those opportunities for students to earn income and then grow in their leadership skills and in their working skills. And down below is our website for that. And next, I wanted to go to our AS Cashier and Ticketing Office. So the AS Cashier and Ticketing Office is currently headed up by Edwin Zapeta, and the ticket office offers ticketing services in partnership with UCSB Athletics, Music Department, Theater and Dance, AS Program Board, the Multicultural Center, and student organizations. Some other additional services that occur at the AS Ticket Office are tech rentals, including iClickers and laptop chargers. And I forgot to mention also, or put in there, calculators. We also, from the AS Ticket Office, there are reader sales for AS publications, which I'll speak about in just a minute. But those are just like hard copy, like, many of you know this, some of you may not, but those are just like hard copy versions of like lab manuals and readers and things of that nature. The ticket office is also a place where emergency loans are distributed. And we also do Office of Student Life deposits there. And we also have discounted movie and theme park tickets. Our location is across from the Corwin Pavilion. And also, we also provide several jobs for students and leadership opportunities. And for the fall, our hours are going to be Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. And for each one of these areas, I have to tell you that the websites for these are super informational, because I'm just basically skimming over a lot of information here. So I will offer this presentation so that you can reference these sites if needed. And again, there's just a myriad of information on different areas on these sites. Now I'm taking a little different approach. Here we go. On AS Recycling, this is more of a summary than a bullet point, but it kind of does explain the heart of what ASR does. And so AS Recycling is an internal part of the waste management on the UCSB campus. Student employees use sustainable methods of transportation i.e. tricycles and e-carts, to go all over the campus to collect and sort the recyclables and compostables to divert unnecessary waste from going into the landfill. ASR also has spearheaded programs that use reusable to-go containers in on-campus eateries, as well as encourage on-campus residents to collect their food scraps to compost through the Apartment Compost Initiative. On top of all of this, ASR continually creates educational materials to be posted on social media, websites, and used at events. There are also, of course, in all of these areas, my apologies, here we go. Student opportunities for jobs and leadership. And you can also see their website there. I'm going to go to our next area, and this is our Department of Public Works. And I got to tell you, when I first heard this name, I had a chuckle, and I still do. And every time I tell somebody what areas I have the pleasure of overseeing, when I say this name, it always gets a chuckle. So the Department of Public Works utilizes food scraps from campus, which is family student housing, and the dining commons, to turn into nutrient-rich soil amendments that is used on all of the Edible Campus program projects, including the Edible Campus Student Farm. These projects bring fresh local produce to students with the aid of the AS Food Bank. In addition to the hands-on composting and farming, DPW developed educational workshop, online materials surrounding the topics of food waste prevention and at-home composting and gardening made easy. Again, lots of student jobs here when they are open, and leadership opportunities, and you can see the website down below. And currently, our ASR and DPW are headed up by Katie Gustavon, and she is a limited appointment, and we're really glad to have her. So moving on to the AS Bike Shop. The AS Bike Shop, headed up by Adam Jenke. The Associated Student Bike Shop, serving the UCSB community since 1975, is a student-funded nonprofit organization dedicated to education, service, and safety. Our shop is run by a team of passionate students who provide repairs and resources to get UCSB communities bicycles running smoothly. And these are some of the highlights of what you'll find at the AS Bike Shop. So you'll find prompt and accurate repair service, a large quantity of bicycle components and accessories available for purchase and installation, repair instruction, and educational events. Also, I wanted to point out that in fall 2021, we are having or instituting an appointment system, and that appointment system will allow people to, individuals who want to use the bike shop, to make an appointment and to get some information and be able to talk with somebody, possibly through Slack or email, about their bike and their needs. So we are instituting this appointment system to better serve the campus community and to keep areas from being too crowded with individuals. Some really, really big news is that there's a new bike shop coming. So currently our current bike shop is about 1,500 square feet. Well, the new bike shop's going to be almost 2,700 square feet, which is approximately a 43% increase. The construction is expected to start soon. I heard rumors about October, but we'll see. So stay tuned for more information. Currently, the hours at the bike shop are still to be determined, but we should know very shortly what those hours are going to be. And again, you will find this and lots of other great information on the website. And as far as the location, for those of you who've never been to campus, remember these two areas. So you're going to be looking for the Watto Polo Pool and the HSSB building. And lastly, but not least, is AS Publications. So AS Publications is located across from the ticket office, across from Corwin Pavilion, in that general area, in the USAN 2 building. So AS Publication provides color and black and white printing and bindery. So oftentimes you might want flyers, or you might want posters, or there might be a need to have a report bound. that's what we do. We also produce readers, and those readers are produced in both as an e-reader, which is a digital reader, and also hard copy readers. And the hard copy readers, as I mentioned just prior, that are distributed from the ticket office. So AS Publications going into fall is having a no contact kind of customer service approach. So all of our orders will come via our contactless ordering portal. So orders will be sent in to us. We'll look at those orders. We'll look at the specifications. We'll communicate with individuals on if we have any questions, or if you have any questions, then those orders will be completed and then picked up at the AS ticket office. One thing to remember is that if you are submitting a job that is going to be paid for by AS funds, you will need to submit a requisition. More of that information is available on our website. And also, if you need to talk to somebody, there are methods by which you can contact us here at the at AS Publications, so we can fill you in on that. Our hours as of fall are going to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And there is our website. And again, there's plenty of great information. One last thing I wanted to mention to you, as Marilyn had stated, is that AS Enterprises also encompasses facilities. And so if you are intending to have something done that's facilities related, and you ask yourself, what's facilities related? Well, it could be, let's say you want to move some furniture, or let's say you want to have your carpets cleaned, or let's say you want to move a picture. Anything that has to do with the physical building, the physical space around you, you're going to want to fill out a request. And of course, you're going to want to talk to your advisor and make sure that you have their approval before you submit that request. It's not in this presentation, but before I share this with everyone and disseminate this, I will actually put that information in there. So you will have a link to the facilities work order so that you'll be able to submit those when you need them. So that's about all I have. Again, I just skimmed the surface. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. Otherwise, please refer to our websites, or you can contact me directly. And again, I will put my contact information in here soon, and once I disseminate this presentation to y'all.
Thank you, Phil. I think we're running short on time, so I will relinquish to Unit C.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ed Schatz. I am the Director of Internal Operations and Technical Assistance at Associated Students. And yes, I am part of what we call Unit C, and what we prefer to call Tech Ops for a little bit more description. Essentially, that is, as it sounds, it is support for the entire department, both administratively in terms of technical support, all things electronic and computer oriented, as well as human resources and finance and budget. So that encompasses a lot of support. As Marilyn mentioned, yes, we are running tight on time, and there are some very detailed processes in a lot of these areas, which there's just no way we can dive into that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of what I do. Unfortunately, one of our assistant directors who was going to join us, she is out sick, so I'll provide a little bit of an overview of her area. And then we also have our Assistant Director for Technical Support. You can see him on screen, Sean Lieberman, as well as our Assistant Director for Human Resources, Lily Hartunian. She's also with us as well. They'll both give you a brief overview of their areas. So for me, again, being internal operations, I deal with a lot of areas of process, of policy, both UC as well as campus policies, as well as the department, and trying to meld all of those things together as best we can, which can be a very big challenge, as you can imagine. And also when it comes to some more tangible things such as procurement, that takes a big part of my responsibilities. Procurement for the department has moved over the years to align with some campus systems. And specifically, that is very heavily now done through the campus procurement portal. Try saying that 3 times fast. It's known as Gateway, and it is a portal where we connect as a department to outside vendors who are part of the UC system of purchasing goods, services, supplies, that sort of thing. Having said that, we still have in the department a parallel process, which more than anything helps us with our internal controls as well as approvals, and that is the AS requisition. You've already heard that mentioned a couple of times, but that is in and of itself a separate process from the Gateway ordering process. In addition to Gateway and products and services that are ordered through that portal, as Marilyn had mentioned in her presentation, I also deal heavily with contracts and agreements for the department. Many of those agreements actually do go through the Gateway portal, but they're connected to the campus contracts department, and I do most of the liaison with campus contracts. In addition, as Marilyn mentioned, we do also have been delegated by the campus our own agreement that provides us a lot more flexibility independently. However, it still does have to align with UC and campus policies. And so, as I mentioned, all of these things, and as Marilyn alluded to, there are a lot of nuances and very important things that we need to make sure are handled correctly in processing these, whether they are a contract through the Gateway system and campus contracts, or with our concert and lecture agreement that we've been delegated for. I will say, and adding to what Marilyn had pointed out, advisors for every student group within Associated Students play a very, very critical role in processing agreements, and particularly when it comes to the AS delegated concert and lecture agreement. Yes, please do reach out to myself, to Marilyn, to Marcella, if there are questions, that sort of thing. However, those agreements will not be processed or move forward without the involvement of the group's advisors. So please do keep that in mind. And yes, advanced planning and processing is very important, because there are a lot of stakeholders typically involved in these, and often very unique nuances again with each of these. They're not cookie cutter. I'll also mention that in terms of agreements, there are also sometimes internal to campus or between departments what are known as memorandums of understanding, or more informal agreements, often using the acronym MOU. I'll also be involved with those on occasion on an as-needed basis. But yeah, again, anything that has a hint of an agreement or a contract, you want to get your advisor involved, and then also possibly one of us in admin. In addition to all of that, I do again assist with the Department of Compliance on UC and campus policies and procedures. I advise staff and student groups when projects bump up against some of these potential issues. I also assist in coordinating a number of HR policies and procedures. I'm also assisting with payroll every couple of weeks in terms of sign-offs. One of the things that for anybody enjoying a paycheck, that's a very important thing. And then I do provide assistance with Department of Systems, other processes, and resources assistance. As an example, this summer has been very busy, as you can imagine, with return to campus planning across the campus, and certainly no less for our department, and coordinating with other entities on campus. This was mentioned earlier as well, but please do, if you haven't yet done so, please do look closely at all of the information that's available on the AS website. It will answer a tremendous number of questions for you, as well as provide guidance on a lot of processes that I'm just barely scratching the surface on. I'm going to jump over to just a little bit of an outline before I pass this over about our absent assistant director. She, again, is our assistant director for budget and finance. Her name is Anjum Fitch, and she's essentially taken over that role from Cindy Lopez, who recently retired, although is still involved with the department on an ongoing basis at a part-time basis. So you may see her name kicked around a little bit, or even see her if you happen to find yourself in AS admin offices. But essentially, Anjum's role is providing guidance on all things finance, everything that is related in terms of processes and procedures. She is the primary resource. And so you'll, again, want to look at the AS website, because some of the ways in which you can get that assistance for financial guidance is on that website. And most notable, I think, for many AS student groups is the requisition process and the actual processing of related payments. That is, she is a fantastic resource for that. She also advises the AS Finance and Business Committee, which of course provides its own version of guidance and approvals for financing projects, both in and out of the department, as well as she advises the Investment Advisory Committee for the department. In addition, as far as the AS admin offices are concerned, Anjum does oversee much of what takes place there. That includes participating in the front desk student staff management, as well as a number of career staff. I'll mention them now, the first one being Irina Nikolaeva. She is the department's record keeping specialist. Some of the key things that she does is that she processes payments for vendors, liaises with those vendors, and also coordinates travel requisitions, requests, and payments. In addition, another career staff member, Kelsey Thibodeau, she is our Community Financial Fund coordinator. So she's processing all of those related grants, as well as providing instructional opportunities for financial literacy. And lastly, Catherine Coseras, she is the admin support specialist in AS admin. Essentially general admin support duties, data processing, and she is the department's safety representative. So that is an overview I can provide of what Anjum is covering. Before I pass this on, are there any questions that I can answer either about my involvement with the department or possibly Anjum's? Okay, then I am going to pass it on as long as I'm staring at her little box there. Lily, can you please, our Assistant Director of Human Resources, give us a little brief overview?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Lily Hartunian, and I am the Assistant Director for Human Resources here in Associated Students. I've been with the department for a couple of years now, several years now, actually. And my job entails a lot of things and everything to do with human resources, student hiring, I-9 compliance, writing job descriptions, working very closely with Maricela, liaison to the Vice Chancellor's office, and human resources building, or the campus human resources, in addition to what's called UC Path, which is the payroll and personnel information system. We hire about 300 students a year. This was pre-COVID, and even during that time, we hired about half of that, which is just a huge feat. And there's a lot of details that go into hiring students. And if you're interested, there is a job board called Handshake, and that's where you can find any position on campus that's open for student staff. I also work very closely with financial aid and dealing with work study. And so if there's any questions on that front as well, deal with the payroll aspects of this. So I'm responsible for the financials of the payroll, as well as evaluations, training staff, short-term and long-term goals that are for the department in terms of the HR areas. I lead the professional development committee. So we have a professional development committee, and we offer professional development trainings and classes and for our career staff that they can apply for. Let's see, and I'm also the payroll timekeeper. So if there's an issue with paychecks, that comes to me, your questions come to me. Usually it's fairly rare, which is a total bonus there. I also assist in all of the recruiting, and I lead career staff recruiting. So I'm responsible for not just writing, editing, and working with the other teams on job descriptions, but also posting it and leading search committees, explaining what the process is to hire and what it takes to be in compliance when we are looking for candidates to fill career staff positions, in addition to limited employees. That's a whole different side topic on that end. Let's see. I do the yearly audits for the payroll, and that's it. I mean, it's a lot, but there's a lot of details that go into it, especially with the updates of the policies that keep coming down from payroll, HR office, even with compliance of being in the office. So that's taken a lot of time to clarify and ensure that our employees are all set now that we're returning to campus. And yeah, let's see. Or anything else? I mean, there's a lot more, but that pretty much encompasses like the payroll aspect of that side of hiring our students and making sure that they're paid and on payroll accurately. And if you have any questions on payroll or are interested, check out our website, the AS Student Staff website. And it's got lots of information on how to get hired, what documents you need to get hired, and what the steps are, and what our salary scales are, because I think that's a big plus in our department, as we are one of the highest student paid in our department. So check that out. And yeah, that's it for me. So Sean, on Ed, if you have anything else to add.
No, nothing else on my end. Yeah, so thank you, Lily. Sean, our Assistant Director for Technology, if you don't mind giving your presentation.
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Sean Lieberman, Assistant Director for Technology. I've been in the department for a very long time. And I'm going to press play here, and we're going to get the speed run edition of this. So technology and media services encompasses a lot of stuff. And so I'm going to tell you basically what we can do for you, the student. And let's start with the simple stuff: email, calendar, Drive, basically the whole Google suite. We encourage students to sign up for an AS account, because if you have an AS Google account, then you can have your own separate email, your own separate Drive, your own separate calendar, and you can also sign up for Slack. And we like to have it, so basically think of it like, well, it's like work, right? So when you have a work account, that's separate from your personal account. And it's separate for a lot of very good reasons, including legal reasons. So we very much encourage that and have people sign up for things. Slack is our communications tool. We use that. I know other people use, there's Microsoft Teams and on things like that, but we use Slack and we use it extensively. So we encourage everyone to get an AS account, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So you can sign up for a Slack account and get going with all your different groups. We also provide web services, so free web hosting, design, support. We use WordPress, so that's very easy, user-friendly to teach you how to use it. and give you the control you need over your own website. So you don't have to constantly come to us. But if you want to, you can do that too. So we give a lot of options. Like I said, speed run version. So if you have questions, write them down and we'll get to them at the end. We do social networking for all of our, a lot of different groups. So including the AS Instagram, and maybe we have a TikTok, I forget. But the Facebook and all those different things, and we kind of cultivate all of that, and to have positions and internship positions that are in charge of some of those too. Desktop and desktop support. So we have computers. We're actually just about to buy a bunch of new ones in the spaces. So if you have an office space, cab, circ, things like that, we have computers in those nice big iMacs in those spaces. And we have a desktop support staff member and a support site to help if you have issues with using any of the software or the hardware as part of that. So you don't have to bring in your own personal laptop. You don't have to work on that. Also, like 13-inch screen versus 24-inch screen. Special projects, lots and lots of those, and we'll get into that just very briefly. So if you have an idea for something you want to do that involves technology, you can come talk to us. And it happens very frequently. Lots of trainings too, whether it's one-on-one or a group training, we can help you with something. If there's something you need to learn, want to learn, whether it's just you individually or you as part of your group, like, hey, my BCU, we want to learn something, we can help you with that too. It's mostly been remote in the past 2 years, obviously. So some things that we do to make it easier for you, we use NetIDs for your web login. So you don't have to remember or create another password for your website. So if you want to become the person in charge of CAB, you can, and you just log in with your NetID, and then we give that NetID permission. So it's one fewer thing, one less thing that you actually have to think about. Let's see. We have an authorized signer's website that used to be a binder. So now it's a website. So that's the kind of thing that we build when we're talking about projects. We built that so that you could use that instead of having to use a piece of paper that's on a desk somewhere. We built the tech rental site. We built the AS marketplace. So we facilitated these things to make them possible. And some of them were our ideas to begin with too. So, some were generated by students. So we'll sometimes take our own ideas, sometimes take student ideas and just, push them through to fruition. Like I said, we have a bunch of new computers. And so we're going to buy, I don't know what it is, it's like 20 something odd computers to replace some of the older machines that we have in place. And so 24-inch iMacs typically have a lot more space than on a 13-inch MacBook Air. So, and we have Adobe on a lot of machines and things like that. So we can do surveys for you. So we use Qualtrics, and so we can help you do a very advanced Qualtrics survey of the student body or whatever you need. We can build that for you, so you don't have to use SurveyMonkey or Google Forms, because Qualtrics is significantly more advanced than both of those. We have a photo gallery where we have some old pictures from sites. We have over 28,000 photos in there right now. And we want to try to get that back on its legs so that we can put more in there and just get more people with historical AS photos, because it's great to look back and see, oh, what was Extravaganza 2010 like? And well, you can look back through it. We have a task management software package called ClickUp that I encourage people to use. And we can, if you need more information about that, we can get into it later and you can email me about it. And we also do fun things too. So it's, we like the iMessage stickers, which you might have seen with Mapache and Storky. Those were our ideas. We created those student artists, and we had that idea. If you have an iPhone, you can download them right now. Just search for UCSB stickers in the App Store, and you can download it. We're about to release the fall pack, and we have actual physical stickers too. So you can put that on your computer or your water bottle or whatever. But that's a fun one to make people feel closer to the campus and just make you feel good. It's just what's not to like about this. Yeah. Moving on, like I said, speedrun version. A couple things coming up. Hybrid meetings, we're helping facilitate those. So we have some OWL 360 cameras that we're going to be able to check out to staff and student groups. So they can have hybrid meetings in their spaces, right? So maybe you have 3 people in person and maybe you have 10 people somewhere else, there'll be a 360 camera you can put in the middle of the table and have that conversation in a way so it's not just like one computer that, you know, house you have to rotate around. That doesn't really work. There's a travel portal coming for student travel to facilitate that, to make it easier for when travel becomes more of a thing. We have landlord property evaluation site for Isla Vista, which is the students the past 2 years did great work on that, and it's just been the pandemic and everything that's derailed our part of it. But that's something that's coming this academic year as well. So if you have an idea for a project, you know, let's chat. So to find assistance, you go to the AS website, you go to the resources section in the menu, and you internal assistance, and there'll be just a ton of links in there. It'll be web request, it'll be desktop help, there's a lot of things in there. They're not all in my area, but there's all of the stuff that's in my area is in there. So just remember that when you navigate to the site. And like other people have said, the website has so much stuff on it. Some additional things that are a little less, well, techie maybe in a way. Design, videography, and photography. So we have an art director, and we have student artists, student videographers, student photographers. They can do logos, posters, photography services. Like you have an event, you want a photographer to document the event or video the event. You know, that's what we can do. Adobe Suite. So in the Annex space, we have Adobe and all of those. We can get Adobe on some of the other machines and computers that we have throughout our spaces. And we can also train you on how to use it. Media equipment rental. So this is also something we do as part of the Annex. And the Annex, it's cameras, microphones, tripods, just anything you would need to make like an independent student film, you know, with video or photography, like different lenses, different camera bodies, you know, all that stuff. We have a lot of stuff that people just don't know about, and it's free for students to check out. You can just, it's in high demand. So we haven't been doing it the past year and a half, but now coming back, we are going to do it. And I think the demand is going to be high as well. So you are some of the first to know about it and will remember it because, you know, it's been a while. Workshop Wednesdays, every Wednesday, or most Wednesdays in a quarter, there'll be a workshop, and it's workshop taught by staff, by students, by alumni about a variety of subjects, not just, you know, software packages, but it can be portraiture, like, you know, for taking photographs. It can be how to do a podcast. It can be a lot of different things, and it has been. And I teach a workshop on screenwriting that I'll do this quarter as well. Marketing. So our creative media unit, we do marketing for the department. We can do marketing. We can help with marketing and buying Facebook ads and other things like that for your unit, your entity. And the Annex, that space I've mentioned a couple of times, is a computer lab. It's a media center. It's a meeting space. And there's a lot you can do. If you go to mediacenter.as.ucsb.edu, you'll see some things in there, and just get a little glimpse of like some of the stuff that we can do. And like the back can be used for photography. The back can be used for, there's a UCSB TV uses it. There's just a lot. There's a lot available here. I just wanted to scratch the surface as we've said. And quickly, the team is me. That's what I look like. This is Oscar Aquino for desktop support. It's Julianne Dutcher with web and trainings and accounts. It's Chelsea Lyon Hayden with graphic design and videography and the photography stuff, because she supervises those students in Eddie Door with the media center and equipment. And that's just some, you know, contact information there, but you can find us on the website, and you can find us on Slack. So if you didn't screenshot that, that's okay. So are there any questions? We're way over, but that's my email address, or you could just find me on Slack once you have an account and ask me, and, you know, brainstorm some new projects, whatever you need. All right. Thanks so much.